and Ned Weiss, Father Ned Weiss, we were getting out of the car. He'll tell you this story too, and Father Neil O'Connor. And we were caught by Father Weber. So we all agreed that Ned Weiss and Joe Divis would say nothing, that only I and Neil should talk. I said, well, why is that? They said, because they'll tell them the complete truth. I said, oh. So he says to us, Monsignor Murphy says to us, well, so what happened? He said, how did you happen to come out of the car? I said, well, we got tired. It was a long, we went all the way down to Gordon Park we went. He said, you mean running? And he said, yeah, the idea is to run or walk. I said, come on, Monsignor, sometimes I had to walk. And he said, this crowd went running down and we're running back, and then someone gave you a ride back? Well, we knew the driver. And he said, well, I'm glad to know that. So we got out of it from there. He knew.
Oh, yeah.
He knew
yeah.
But so I would say, we would say it was harder on us, but I would say the advantage we have that you don't have is numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And the other advantage is we had a lot of your both academic life and also your ministry life is outside of the bounds of the seminary.
Right.
And sometimes people get very involved in that. And sometimes it cuts down the amount of time that students can come together. So I think we had a better opportunity to really become very close to each other as we went through the seminary, I think. Our class is very close. We still meet. We meet every single year. Now, I'm the one in charge of setting us up to meet this. I can't figure out where to meet. See, we're all out of parishes now.
Ah.
One guy lives in a parish, but it's in Akron, Immaculate Conception. Father Sam Ciccolini lives there. Nobody else lives in a parish. Most of them live in like a condominium. I think all of them do, or a home of a relative like Father Neil lives at his sister's house. So we know what we can do is ask a parish to host us, and Rafio's hosted us before.
Oh, nice.
So they might be willing to do it again. Our date was May 31st, 52 years, so we're going to try and meet again. Then we have a meeting for the class.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a wider gathering, which is made up, thank goodness for Zoom. Zoom really taught us a lot. We've been meeting for years, but we meet, like 7 of us might meet over at Bob Evans for a lunch. But what's happened is, obviously guys in Detroit and Minnesota, well, now they all can meet by Zoom. And so that's the third Wednesday of every month we meet by Zoom.
Oh, that's good.
And then, and we're always surprised who joins us. And so there might be a person I haven't seen in years. Mm-hmm. We always did anniversaries, 2 big anniversaries. We did a big thing for our 50th. In fact, Bishop Pilla did a rare thing. He spent the whole night with us, evening with us,
Wow.
and drove home himself, which was a little scary.
Oh, yeah.
Then he got dropped off his car, I think, the next day or something like that. Somebody reported him, whoever was in charge. I know the feeling, but anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of yourself.
So I'm interested, before this experience, I think you said after your senior year at the high school, did you really have much involvement or much thought of getting involved in ministry to the, I don't know the right way to describe it, disenfranchise the,
I always wanted, I think I would not know. Have a good day, folks.
See you, Father.
Stay out of trouble. I've warned you all day now. I think I always wanted to work with the poor. I think that was something my parents taught me. And they didn't teach it by preaching it. They just lived it.
Yeah.
I remember them taking in people. I remember, and they struggled themselves. And my dad worked for A&P. My mother, of course, didn't work. That was an age when mothers didn't work. No, they were very, very. In fact, they bought our second home by land contract. The worst way of buying anything, where your interest is like 90% of what you're paying when you start off.
Wow.
Might even be higher than that. And but they couldn't afford to buy a house, so that's what when they sold all of our homes there. That's what all of the homes on our street there. They had no choice. But I would say my dad once. got after me for, I think I used the term nigger or something like that as a child. They were in school with us. And he really got after me. He said he only wanted me to play with children who were African American. In those days, they would say children who are colored children. You can only be with them for the next, I think it was a week or so. So I do think they're part of it. Part of it was the kindness we saw in both the sisters at St. Thomas's, and my mother was really sick one time, so she was in the hospital. I think she ended up having hysterectomy, but we didn't know much about it at the time. And so I come home from school, and the door's opened by the principal. I'm saying to myself, it's all over. They're not only in the school, they're in the house. She said, Joseph, go get your bag and do your paper route. She knows about my paper route. So. And then Sister Eugene, the two of them, one of them was a very conservative Sister St. Joseph, but she would break a rule for that. They came and took care of the house for us.
Wow.
They really taught me that you do things like that. You do that for others. And that's basically the ministry. I've tried to make the ministry of St. Augustine that type of ministry. So, like, if somebody needs money, then we raise money to also give them money. And if they're facing some particular problem, we want to be there for it. I remember Sister Carita many times took a group of people over to just clean a house, to do things like that, things to help out people, helping out when nobody else is there. So I think that type of ministry, was learned there, and was also learned from the priests at St. Thomas's. They were really wonderful people. I don't know if you know any of them. Father Bill Andrews was at St. James for a long time. Really saintly man. Father Francis McGlenn, who coincidentally was at St. Francis, founded St. Francis de Sales.
Oh.
And he could really talk to children. He just had a beautiful way with children. Father John Clark, who had a horrible language thing about him. When I was about 14, I went to see him. We had moved to St. Vincent's. My mother said, you should go and tell Father Clark. She thought the world of Father Clark. And Father Clark would never use a bad word in her presence, never. He always treated her with great. I went over to see him. And so he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Now here I am, like a freshman in high school. Here I am. He said, look out the window, that whorehouse across the street. What are we going to do about that? I go, what's a whorehouse? But he had, there's all sorts of stories about John Clark, but John Clark was a wonderful, wonderful giving man. He would visit the people in the parish. When he would visit my mother, he never used a bad word. He treated her with great respect, same with my dad. And then I was thinking about going to one of these religious orders. I wrote to the Columban missioners.
Oh, really?
And sure enough, an Irish brogue missioner showed up at my parents' house. So he gets on the phone and he says to me, so who's going to take care of your mother when you're out in New Guinea? I'm thinking, New Guinea? Mother needs care? And then, you don't think of that as a child that age. So I would say, from both the example of the priest, my parents, and then I also think, the profs I had. We joked about it a lot. We had some wonderful, wonderful priests that worked with us in each level, whether it be high school, college. We had people we complained about, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Father Weber, by the way, really, one thing about Weber, everybody was deadly afraid of Weber. And he would call on me and I'd blab on for a little while. And Dave Beeson, God bless him, he'd always turn to Dave Beeson and say, what did he say? And he'd explain it all. He'd say, well, here's what he said. It was completely different from what I said, of course. But later on in life, I had the experience of having his nephew go through the RCIA.
Oh, really?
Not a complete RCIA because he was already baptized, but he had never been raised. Whatever happened. So he got through everything. And I said, do you want your uncle? He said, oh, no. He said, he wouldn't want to come. Are you sure you wouldn't want your uncle to come? Oh, no. Okay, so we took care of all of that. And so I was going over to meet with Tom Tift one day, and Tom was really helped Weber a lot, I think. Weber walks up to me and takes me aside and says, I don't know how I'll ever thank you for the work you did on them. He said, I really appreciate that. He said, I've always appreciated you as a student. Maybe it's a student, but anyway. He said, but the fact that you would do that, I said, Father, he came running RCIA. It must be something in your family that did that. It wasn't me who brought him there. It's the Lord. He says, however, I'm just very grateful. So it's kind of good.
Good.
So then I would say, the other thing about Weber, you remembered everything he taught you.